Most sequences have a few useful methods that you can do on any sequence. The way to call that method is to say the sequence name and then the method name. So I'm going to go over two methods on sequences, count and index. So suppose that we have a string, and we want to find out how many times a given character or a given sequence of characters appears in the string A. The way that we would do that is using the count method. And the way to call count is we say the name of the sequence, whether it's a string, integer, or tuple, that we want to count on. So here, we want to do a count on A. So I say A, and then the dot or period, and then the method name that we want to call, dot count, open parentheses, and in the case of count, we pass in a string which is the sequence of characters that we actually want to count. So on line 2, we're counting the number of characters E in A, and then we close parentheses in order to finish that method call. One thing to note here is that count is case sensitive, meaning that we don't count capital E's if there were any capital E's in A. We would only count lowercase e's. So here when we say print out a.count_e, then we look for the number of e's that are in the string A. So in this case, we should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In addition to counting individual characters, we can also count substrings. So here, we're counting the number of times the substring HA appears. So we should get 1, 2. So let's run our code just to double check. So we can see that we get 5 E's and 2 times that HA appears in this string A. Just like strings, count also works on lists. So here we have a list Z that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items. So on line 2, if I comment out the rest of these lines, on line 2, we're finding out how many times does the string 4 appear as an item in Z. One thing to note here is that the string 4 is an entirely different thing than the integer 4, which we have here, here, and here. And so when we say print out z.count the string 4, then we're going to actually get 0 because no item in Z is the string 4. If we instead counted for the integer 4, then we would get what we might expect. So we would get 1, 2, 3, because there are 3 integers 4 in our list Z. So if I hit save and run again, then I'll see that I get 3 when I print out z.count the integer 4. Here's something that's a bit trickier. So let's suppose that I say z.count the string A. Now we can see that in our list Z, the letter A appears a few times. So in the first item of Z, A appears in atoms, and then it also appears in atoms in the last item. So we might almost expect the result to be 2. But if we actually run our code, then we'll see the result is 0. Now, why is that? Well, when we call z.count the character A, what we're looking for are items in Z where the item itself is the string A. So the fact that A just happens to be a character in this larger string doesn't matter to Python. What Python would care about is the value actually the string A? So if I had one item here that was the string A, then I would get count 1. But because this instead is the string atoms, then I get 0 when I look for the number of A's. On line 5, we do z.count electron, and when I look, I see that there's 1, 2 electrons in Z, and so I should expect line 5 to print out 2. Now let's go on to another useful method named index. Index finds where an item is. In the case of index, it searches for the first time that a given string or item appears. So let's suppose that on line 1, we're creating this string, pull out your music and dancing can begin. And on line 2, we create this list that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items. Now, when we print out the value of music.index of m, then we're printing out the first or leftmost index where lowercase m appears. So if I comment out the rest of these lines and only print out the value of music.index of m, then we should get the index of the first m. And just to find out where that is, we should get it at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this m, which is the first or leftmost m that appears, is at index 14. And what that means is that the value of this overall expression, music.index of m, is going to be 14. Let's run our code and make sure that that's the case. So we see that we get 14. On line 5, we print out the value of music.index of your. And so what this is going to do is it's going to search for the first time that this substring your appears, and it's going to print out the index where it starts. So we should expect that to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when we run this, then we get 9 as the result, because your starts at index 9. Now, index works with lists as well as it does with strings. So if we print out bio.index of metatarsal, then we get the first index where metatarsal appears. So here on bio, that should be index 0. Even though this appears multiple times at index 0 and 1, index always gives us the first or leftmost index where it appears. So line 7 should print out 0. On line 8, we print out bio.index of an empty list. This is going to search for the first empty list in this list bio. So the index should be 0, 1, 2, and we find it at 3. So when we run this, we should expect 3. Then finally on line 9, we print out bio.index of 43. So that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, one thing to note for index is that if something's actually not in the sequence, then we get a runtime error. So if we create this list seasons and set its values to be winter, spring, summer, and fall, and then we search for autumn, note that autumn is not in here because we instead wrote fall. So if we print out seasons.index of autumn, then we're going to get a runtime error. And that runtime error is going to point out that the item that we searched for, in this case autumn, was not in our list seasons. Okay, so let's answer some questions about count and index. So this question asks, what will be stored in the variable ty below? So we say ty is qu, which is this string, dot index of we. So this is searching for the first time that we find the string we. So that's going to give us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, when we search for a substring, we search for where it starts. And so that's going to give us 5. Next, what will be stored in the variable ty now? So we say ty is the string qu.count of we. So here we're searching for how many times does this substring we appear in this string qu. And so we see we right here at the start of welcome, here at the start of week. And we might think that we actually see it here, but if you look closely, this is actually a capital W and not a lowercase w. Now remember that Python is case sensitive, so a capital W is a completely different thing than a lowercase w. And so Python isn't actually going to count this. And so Python isn't actually going to count this we because it contains a capital W. And so the end result here is that we get 2. So here we're asked what will be stored in the variable ht below. So we have rooms set to a list with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. And we ask for rooms.index of garden. So we're going to search for is garden in this list rooms? And so we see it's not here, nor here, nor here, nor here, nor here, nor here. And garden isn't anywhere in this list. And remember that when we try to do index on something that's actually not in the list, then we get an error. So the answer here should be an error. That's all for now. Until next time.